Welcome back to the Mayhem to Marketing show, and we're going to talk about how to outsource your business and simplify it so that growth really isn't that hard for you and just make things simple for you. When I was a kid, I started a lawn care business. And this lawn care business was just me. I was going door to door. You know, as a kid, you go door to door. And I found a friend to do this with me. My dad told me, "Hey, go find a friend and do this." And get that friend all excited to do this with you, and you guys go door to door together, and you do the work together, and soon enough you'll have a business going where you can find lots of clients and do tons of lawns, double the amount of lawns because there's two of you. And I was all about that. And so I went and got a friend, and we started this lawn care business together, and we got all excited. And, you know, when you're in a partnership, things can be kind of difficult. And so I actually went through two different partners, and, you know, both were named Ethan. And they were my friends, and we had a blast, and it was great. There were no hard feelings. We were still friends after both partnerships ended, but it was fun. I started a second lawn care business when I moved states, and now I'm in high school. And in high school, there's a sense of loneliness that you'll feel when you move around in high school. High school is a very critical time, as you probably know, for growth, and I had a very hard time. And so I got my first job at McDonald's. I told you about this in a previous episode, and I wanted out of that job, so I went and started a lawn care business. And I got these clients by direct mail, and I got enough clients that I started to feel a little bit tired. And eventually I worked with a company that brings in, it was basically a third-party company that was the mediator between you and, or me, the person mowing the lawns, and the clients. And they brought in all these clients, people who wanted their lawns mowed, and found these people like me to mow the lawns for those clients, and they just kept a couple bucks. And this was all over the Twin Cities in Minnesota, and I happened to get a lot of clients this way. And it was super worth it for me as working by myself, because it got me a lot of money, and I just had to pay gas. But eventually, you know, I was already tired because of the clients I was getting without this outsourcing company. And now I had all this, and eventually I had up to, I think it was 30 clients in total over the course of a year. And I was really, really tired. And I actually thought, why not hire someone? I thought about it. And so I went and I looked on Indeed. I put out not an application. I put out a job listing for a posting for people to apply to, and I interviewed a couple of people. It was very interesting to be in the seat of the interviewer in high school. It was very cool. A very cool experience. There was actually, this is a side note, but there was someone who was deaf, and I forget exactly how it worked, but there was like two people on the phone call when I had a call with them, and someone was like translating in a way, and I was really confused when I hopped on the call because I heard someone speaking for someone else, and I was like, is this not the person I'm talking to? But eventually it registered with me. I don't remember all the details. It was the first time anything like that had ever happened, and I was given really no heads up about it. Anyways, but that was when I first discovered outsourcing. And it was really cool to think, I can hire someone for this role to do what I've been doing. And I keep a little bit of the money. And now I pay someone the bulk of it, but I get to keep some, and I'm not doing any work for those clients, but they're doing all the work, and I get to keep some of the money. And I did not hire someone in that season of life. It was not worth it. It was, one, very hard to find someone that would be perfect. And two, the growth wasn't really all that exponential that I would have to hire anyone. Anyways, what I'm trying to say though is, I'm sure you as a business owner have also had that feeling of, oh, now it's time to actually ramp things up here. And it's a really exciting feeling. It's a really, really thrilling feeling, but it can be really complicated and really, really difficult because you don't feel like you can actually do it yet. You have to give up a lot of control in order to go hire that person or hire enough people or keep them satisfied. Because, this is your business. This is your livelihood, right? But I'm here to make it a little bit more simple for you. There's a few things that I've learned along the way as I've worked for different companies and seen kind of how they operate and how they hire people and how they get the work done. And hint, not everything needs to be done by an employee. You can outsource a lot of this to virtual assistants overseas. And I want to talk a little bit about how to do that. Not really the specifics, but more so the process for which you should go about things in order to make your life easy as a business owner. First thing is a quote from Tim Ferriss. I guess it's a quote. I found it in his book the other day. He says, eliminate, then delegate. He has like an acronym that he uses, and eliminate and delegate are part of them. I'm trying to remember. Anyways, the concept is that you should eliminate everything that you don't really need to do in order to focus on the things that you really need to do. You need to get rid of the things or put off the things on your to-do list that do not bring in the most results and focus on the things that bring in the most results. This is really important because in order to delegate, you should never delegate things that really aren't important. You should always be delegating the things that aren't all that important to you, but still need to get done. You just want to make sure that you go through this elimination phase so you're not delegating things that are things that really don't need to get done. That one, you don't want to do them, but also don't need to get done. You want to only delegate the things that you don't want to do, but do need to get done. So make sure you go through that elimination first. The second thing is to delegate. And with my lawn care situation, it was going to be extremely expensive for me to hire someone if I were to have hired someone. And yes, it's nice to get a little bit of money, and you know this. If you've hired someone, it's nice to not have to do all the work, but it's very, very expensive, and there's a lot of stress that can come with that because you are now providing for someone else. But outsourcing does not need to be that stressful. It can be actually really cheap. And once you've gone through elimination and you've figured out what needs to get done, now you need to sort it by least important to most important. And the least important things that do need to get done, and the things that, you don't need bank account access to, such as email. Going through the email once a day. You could easily outsource that to a virtual assistant overseas. Just find someone who speaks native English, or speaks really, really good English, and they're out there, and you don't have to pay them a ton. You can find these people on Upwork, on freelancer.com, on maybe on Indeed, or you can find a bunch of different VA agencies who have a bunch of virtual assistants that work for them. And if you don't like one VA, you can easily get another and request another. So an agency is probably the best option you've got, because you've got all of these everyone works together in there so that you have the best experience, because they want to please you. So I might recommend that, but you can easily outsource the least important things to that person, as long as they don't require sensitive information, and get that out of the way. And it's not expensive. It's very inexpensive, and it might be for someone like you, if you're just starting out and you've never thought about that might be like kind of like one of those moments where your mind explodes. Like, I can do that? And just the other day, actually, I think it was a week ago today, my wife and I ordered Instacart for the first time. And we're probably late on the train for this, but we were thinking about this ourselves. How can we outsource things that we don't really want to do? And if we've got enough money, let's try stuff like that. So one thing was to hire a housekeeper to come and clean our house like every week or every other week. And we haven't done that yet, but we would love to in the future. And the second thing was groceries. My wife usually goes grocery shopping, and I should say most times goes grocery shopping, and she hates it. It's just super stressful for her, because it comes to the weekend, and Sundays is when she would normally go grocery shopping, and she doesn't want to do it. She's like, oh, it's pounced on me again. And we just said, why not do Instacart? And so we did Instacart, and our groceries were delivered to our door, and it was almost seamless. Yes, they missed things here and there, and we got to try it for cheap. It really doesn't cost that much. And if you have to say, do you value time or money more? And I would say most people would say they value time more. It's just money's really difficult. Well, you have to get out of that mindset and say, time is more valuable. I can always get more money. People are stuck in a rut saying, I've only got a limited amount of money. Well, you only have a limited amount of time. So which one do you want? Which one's like more controllable? And the money's more controllable. So just kind of think about that and try to wrap your brain around that, because hiring a VA for really menial tasks that, someone else could easily do. So you don't even have to check your inbox, for example, or you don't even need to research that one thing that you have to, research a product. If you want a new product in your inventory, if you're that type of business, then have someone else research that. And you don't need to hire a full-time employee to do that and fill their time with that. So it can be cheap. Just hire them for the most basic things first, and then go from there. And the last point I really wanted to talk about, just to give you this basic understanding, and kind of, if you have not thought about this, I want you to start thinking about it, because I only want to really build a foundation from here so that you're growing along with me in your business as I grow in mine. The last thing I want to talk about is communication over productivity. When I first started really understanding that communicating well is more important than working a little bit of extra time, that's when things started to shift in me, that I saw how I come across is someone who knows what they're doing. And that, I'm sure you want to come across that way as well. When you communicate very straightforward and very clearly, and this is also a marketing thing, it's a copywriting thing or a sales thing. If you cross off and eliminate all opposition or questions people have to whatever product or whatever idea you're proposing, then you will get people who are most convinced to believe you. And so if I'm writing an email, for example, and I'm going to talk about VAs in a sec. If I'm writing an email to a client about this new idea I have to make sure I cover all the aspects of the idea. I have to make sure if they have any possible questions, that I ask myself, what questions might they have after I after I bring this up, and address those. And then 3, I need to bold things or italicize things, make sure spacing looks really good, so it's really, really easy to read. I don't want it to be too long. I don't want to include a ton of information in there or have a lot of run-on sentences. All these things are what make a good email and actually bring your point across, so that you, one, are viewed like you know what you're talking about, and 2, it just makes things so much easier. You could have spent a lot more time, not really a lot, but some more time working instead of communicating. But the communication's extremely, extremely important, because it really ultimately saves time in email exchanges, or it's the same thing for if you're about to go into a meeting with someone and you have to propose that idea. You should probably outline all of the things first so that you communicate really well when you're ready to talk about it in that meeting. But what it has to do with outsourcing and getting someone else, maybe overseas, or if you want to fund someone who's in the United States, if that's what you would desire, then that's awesome. But make sure you're communicating well, because, this person, you are not with them in person. And I know after this past year with coronavirus, it's been a whole shift in remote workings. And so you've probably gotten to experience this life of Zoom. And so you're not with them, and you have to communicate well with them. And if you are going to start delegating tasks remotely, like very menial tasks, you have to make sure you communicate how to do those tasks really well. And if you're paying by the hour, you should probably check in, ask them to send a report every 3 hours that they work about what they've done so far, so that you know that they aren't wasting their time. And maybe ask them key questions to send, or have them answer key questions such as, what are the top 3 things that you did over the past 3 hours? What, I don't know. Maybe that's a bad thing to say, but really, you just have to make sure everything is outlined so that they know what they're doing, and you can feel confident that nothing's really slipping through your fingers with them. And that's why I want to stress the importance of communication. So yeah, really outsourcing, or first simplifying your business and then outsourcing your business, will actually make your life a whole lot easier. You don't have to worry about all the tiny, tiny little things that I know business owners have to worry about because you've outsourced it. And, you've already got so much stress on you. If you've got family and you've got a business to run, there's a lot of stress there, and you want to make sure that's all managed well. And this is one way that you can really manage that well, is get people on your team that you can actually believe in. I would say actually with a virtual assistant or someone you're going to be working with long term, do a short-term contract at first, and then if you love them, and if you've had like a Zoom call with them and you've gotten to know them, then work with them long term and actually develop that relationship with them so that they can be on your team. And this can actually assist you rather than be a hindrance to you that stresses you out for the rest of your life, because you've got a lot to manage. Anyways, thanks for tuning in to the Mayhem to Marketing show. I will talk to you later. And yeah, see ya.